I was popping in back up into another video. We are going to be doing a quick trade recap. I took 4 trades today, 3 losses, 1 win. So we're about to break all of that down. So the first trade I took today was an NQ short pre-market. I usually don't trade pre-market, and this is where I think my first mistake came from. Just stemmed from me breaking my rules. I never like to trade pre-market. I always tell myself that. I still did. This didn't look bad. I would not call this a bad setup at all. I just think that I probably could have waited for more confirmation, and also that it is a pre-market trade. I don't like trading pre-market. We usually don't deliver how I want us to, despite the setup. A lot of the times we do end up getting stopped out still, and that's exactly what happened right here. So we ended up putting this higher time frame SMT in with ES on NQ. NQ tapped the 30-minute volume imbalance and the 30-minute fair value gap that was being reclaimed. We then got this 5-minute inversion right here. I ended up shorting it. It was a 5-minute, a very clean 3-minute as well. As y'all can see, I went short once we got that close. Stop was at this high, and I wanted to see price go to target all this sell side down here. We had all of these stack lows. And then mainly I wanted to see this 30-minute imbalance because it was an equal low with ES, or was it this one? I wanted to see really both of these imbalances get filled. That was my target. That was my draw. Pretty good risk to reward. But as y'all can see, I did get stopped out right here. I think the reason I did get stopped is that, for one, we didn't get a change in the state. We never got a full change in the state. We only got an inversion. Now, I'm not saying that that's bad. This is like a bad entry because this model specifically is not bad at all. We have a higher time frame SMT. You're coming out of a higher time frame PD array as well. Volume imbalance, order block, plus higher time frame fair value gap. Very strong displacement candle to the downside at 9:15, which is, a 15-minute candle when you like to expect volatility 15 minutes before market open. Not a bad setup. I just think that we didn't get the change in the state. We are still respecting this gold box, which is new day openings gap. And I ultimately probably should have waited for that to get inversed. My whole plan behind this trade was I wanted this to be a power of 3: accumulation, manipulation at these highs, and then a distribution to the downside. However, that is not what we got. So from there, let me just highlight the draw liquidity so y'all can really see. Yeah, I wanted to see this. Then I wanted to see a continuation to this low because that is where standard deviation aligned. But so yeah, from there, I then went over. Once this got ran and NQ started to go crazy a little bit, I deleted all this. Jesus, I hate you. I went to ES. To put in an SMT at London. SMT was put in at London. From here, I waited. We had the inversion on. Wait, no, I didn't take that. I'm lying. The next trade I took was this change in the state on ES. Once we got this change in the state right here, I took this. Now, where I went wrong on this trade, I entered this trade with my average risk. My full size on this trade I did enter with, which I don't think I should have. With my stop at this high, entered it with basically the same targets as I did on NQ. But since NQ put in a higher time frame SMT, I figured ES was the weaker asset, and I wanted to see mainly these 30-minute equal lows right here, then into this volume imbalance. And yeah, those were like my main 2 draws on liquidity. From there, I took that trade. I entered this with my full size, with my stop add to this high right here. And as you all can see, once we did get that change in the state, which I think is another thing I broke my rules with. Again, I took a trade before 9:35. So I don't like trading pre-market, and I don't like trading the first 5 minutes of open because that is usually when the most manipulation occurs. Price hasn't really understood what it wants to do yet. I took this. I was being impatient. It was an inversion fair value gap plus the change in the state. Not a bad setup. Higher time from SMT, higher time from imbalance we're respecting. Internal change in the state. But, when we have an imbalance that gets disrespected, which was this right here, then we have that same imbalance get disrespected that previously disrespected it, which was this. That's usually not a good sign. It's usually a sign of bad price action, and you shouldn't apply as much risk, or you should just walk away. I literally said this on the call. I don't like that, but I still enter with my full size. Not smart at all. Definitely my fault. It is also Friday, another day where I like to say I don't want to enter my full size. So I just made a whole lot of mistakes today, a whole lot of lessons. I'm going to talk about it later as well. I'm going to have another video coming for y'all later on. I'm planning on doing. But I'm going to really break it down more in depth. But that was another thing that I did, another rule that I broke. Trading before, first 5 minutes open. So I took this trade. It was working. And then on this candle right here, I end up, no, I'm lying. Once we got to this displacement down here, I ended up pyramiding on this trade, which is another thing that I'm really not the proudest of. Once we got this close right here on this candle, I did pyramid, which then moved my fill to like here. New stop was this high. Got stopped out. From here, I waited. I seen we got the instant recovery from that on the 30-second. Because this candle right here never took any actual major sell side target that I had, I was comfortable with still entering on this because it still showed that we were respecting the imbalance, the inversion, and the model was still valid. I was fine with entering on this strong candle just because of the fact that we never took any major sell side. So I re-entered once we got this tap back. And as y'all can see, once again, got stopped out. Re-entered, same targets, got severely stopped out. Now from here, what time are we at? We're at 10 a.m. Yeah, 10 a.m. stopped me out. Then from there, I ended up finally, I took the re-entry on NQ. After we got that wick, NQ just looked a lot better for me. So that's where I took it on. Took it on NQ. Stop at that high. Just targeting the nearest low. I didn't even want to leave any runners. I was honestly tired of the day in general. So didn't leave any runners. Got all out at this low. And that essentially recaps my entire day. Now, what can we take from this? First of all, my stop was way too tight because if y'all can see, when we did get the change in the state, well, actually, let's go to ES because ES is actually better. But when we got the change in the state on the pair that I wanted to see, right? If I would have just waited, well, I wouldn't have avoided this loss, but the first losses would have been avoided. I could have avoided 2 losses today. Those first 2, if I would have waited for market open and in the first 5 minutes, because y'all can see, first 5 minutes, the price ended up chopping around. No, it was on NQ, I'm lying. Price ended up chopping around. And this initial loss would have been avoided, that inversion. Plus, since I never got the full change in state, this would have been an avoided loss. This also, if I would have just stuck to what I actually wanted to see, actually waited for the change in the state on NQ. All right, we not showing me okay. So if I would have actually waited for the change in state on NQ, which came right here on the 5 minute, which came at 9:55, I would have just stayed patient. Enter on the change in state, stop at this high, whatever the case. This would have been a winning trade. This trade on the higher time frame was never invalidated. It was really just me being too zoomed in, being impatient, trying to force trades, trying to force setups, and being too fixated on the internal time frame. Now, on days like this, when it's a no news Friday, a day where you don't expect the best price action, when the week has already been volatile, a lot of the times you won't get the best action on Friday, and you will get a lot of choppy action. Now, it will deliver to whatever the draw in liquidity is. However, you won't see the effectiveness and the efficiency from price as you usually would, earlier throughout the week. Now, that is all 100% on me. These are things that I already know, and I still disregarded. I still went in like it was a regular day. Traded before, I traded pre-market. I traded before 9:35. So that literally could have erased 75% of my losses right there. Now, on this candle, I would have probably got stopped regardless since I wasn't on ES at the time. But if I would have just stuck with NQ for the first 5 minutes, that would have still been avoided. So just all things that I need to note. We did put in the SMT at this high as well, which was another confluence in me re-entering on NQ because NQ was weaker. NQ put in the lower high. So that's also why I entered on NQ. Forgot to say that. But yeah, it's just me waiting for full confirmation. You see, we're respecting new week opening gap. We're constantly bouncing off it. Now, once we finally inversed it, if I would just waited for that, it would be fine. So me, takeaways, I need to be more patient. Stick to my rules, really get back to the basics, the fundamentals of what I know works. And just apply that going forward, apply that going into next week. I think I'm going to be also opening up some new accounts because I want to start kind of like a challenge with y'all. I want to have two separate trading portfolios, one where I can kind of manage for the long term, and then another one that's more short term, just to pay for, just to have like play money in a way. So it's gonna be a fun challenge. I'm gonna start with y'all. We're gonna be doing like higher risk, higher reward type of trades. I want to just really play with it, see what we can do, see how we can grow some small accounts, and yeah, talk about that later though. With all that being said, I really hope y'all can learn from my mistakes, learn from my losses from today, and really grow. I hope y'all getting some value, and I'm gonna catch y'all in the next one. Have a great weekend. Y'all stay productive, stay safe. And thank y'all for all the support. I'm gonna catch you on the next one. Peace out.